My name is Stephen, and I cover the energy and environment sector in IPI. So today, I'm going to present to you a topic called lithium-ion battery recycling. So I will share with you a market overview and drivers, and I will cover the key players in the lithium-ion battery value chain, as well as some of the recycling technologies in the market. I will then share with you our innovation insights derived from our innovation landscape study. And finally, I'll share with you on the technologies available for collaboration, as mentioned by Karen earlier. Market overview and drivers. So before I begin, I'd like to orientate all of you on the common types of lithium-ion batteries available in the market. So commonly, there are 6 types of lithium-ion batteries available. But in this presentation, I would like you to just focus on the 3. So the first one is LCO, lithium cobalt oxide. So these are the batteries which is more prevalent in the mobile phones and laptops. Second one will be LFP, lithium iron phosphate. This is more prevalent in the e-buses. For example, BYD is using them. And the last one, the NMC, lithium nickel manganese cobalt oxide. So these are widely used in today's electric vehicles. Moving on, can I have a show of hands? And would you like to make a guess on what is the amount of lithium-ion batteries recycled last year? So is it 10,000 tons? Worldwide, global. Is it 100,000 tons? Or is it 400,000 tons? No guess? The answer is almost 100,000 tons in 2018 alone, globally. So these batteries are being processed in China as well as South Korea. Our patent landscape study uncovered the same trend in terms of patent filing, where majority of the patent owners are based in China. So why is this? This is because China is very big into battery recycling regulation. And I'll talk a little bit more in detail in my subsequent slides. So what about Europe, USA, and Canada? So traditionally, for these countries, spent batteries are being exported to Asian processors. But due to the recent Chinese ban on the waste imports, we foresee that this will become a new sources of batteries, as most of them can't go to China already. So we assess that there will be opportunities from spent batteries sources from these countries. So what about Singapore? In Singapore, the 2 most prevalent supply of spent lithium-ion batteries will be from computers and mobile phones. So it's around 3 tons of them. So these are the major sources of spent lithium cobalt oxide batteries. The Extended Producer Responsibility Regulation, EPR, is going to kick in from 2021. And we foresee that this will certainly ramp up the collection rate of these batteries. However, I would like to draw your attention to one of the key challenges here, which is the extraction of the batteries and the cathode materials. These are very challenging from today's mobile phones. So take an example of this mobile phone. So today, mobile phones are rated with ingress protection rating of up to IP67, and some even IP68. So it's rather challenging to remove the sealants and retrieve the batteries, as well as the subsequent recovery of the cathode materials due to the varying chemistries within the lithium cobalt oxide battery itself. So what are the key sources of lithium-ion batteries? So we assess that the top 3 sources comes from the electric vehicles, which is over 3 million EVs is already in the world as of 2018 last year. The next source will be from energy storage. These are for stationary applications due to the increased use for grid energy storage, data centers, as well as renewable energy storage. While the third category will be from electronics, the consumer electronics, as mentioned in the earlier slide, laptops and mobile phones. They make up almost 90% of the battery recycling volume last year. So moving on, I'll first talk about the immediate sources of spent batteries. So we assess that this will come from consumer electronics. Why is this? Because we charge our phone every day. The frequent charging and discharging leads to the shorter lifespan of these LCO batteries. But take a look on the chart on the left here. On the blue section, the consumer electronics, the amount of battery that reach recyclers on this chart on the right is only about half. So we have one challenge here, that how do we improve the collection rate? So in this, we assess that there might be needs in the battery collection as well as the traceability systems to help to ramp up the collection rate. For EV batteries, they are now being repurposed for energy storage. Why is this? Because they retained up to 60 to 80% of the initial capacity after the first usage by electric vehicles. And they can continue to serve for another 7 to 10 years. Today, it has a residual value from US 60 to 300 US dollars per kilowatt hour. And these are mainly lithium iron phosphate and the NMC batteries. So on the chart on the left, one thing in common here is that we see that these initiatives are led by the EV OEMs. So let me give you one example. Renault and Connected Energy, they have partnered, and Connected Energy helps them to repurpose the Renault's spent EV batteries, and they install along the highway for a fast charging station. So 2 of them installed as of today. Over in China, for BYD, they are repurposing the spent EV batteries from BYD EVs, and they deploy it in one of the largest energy storage plants in Shenzhen, China. So we think that to repurpose the second life batteries is not that straightforward, because to transport the battery, to collect them, it involves high cost. It is up to 50% in South Korea of the overall processing cost of batteries. So we assess that there will be market needs for on-site screening of spent battery health. So why is this required? Because today, for spent batteries, the rapid diagnostics is not possible. So what people do today is they have to collect the battery, they will have to dismantle them from module up to cell level, and they'll have to discharge them, and study the rate of charging and discharging, the characteristics, in order to determine whether the battery is fit for repurposing. So therefore, we assess that there's a need for on-site screening. It's a rapid screening one to save on the logistics. So next, we also assess that there's a need for the battery management system. This is in order to improve the life cycle of refurbished batteries, which has been used, for example, up to 5 to 7 years in the electric vehicles. So the BMS is critical to improve the life cycle up to 7 or 10 years more. So there are some challenges for refurbishers here as we talk to some of the refurbishers based in Singapore. So currently, there's lack of relevant standards for second life battery repurposing. And refurbishers is unable to provide the warranty to ensure the performance and safety of the battery during second life applications. So why people moving on to recycle the battery apart from the second life applications? It's all about cobalt. So there's high cobalt content in the LCO as well as the NMC batteries that encourage recyclers and people to adopt the recycling technology to recover the cobalt materials. Today, cobalt fetch a price of around $35,000 per metric ton. As we observe for the past history of the prices of cobalt commodity, it's fluctuating. This could be due to the upcoming trade war, the suppliers stocking up in order to weather through the trade war, and many other factors which might come into play in the next couple of years. So in IPI, we assess that the recycling of LIB will become an important source of raw materials for the new battery manufacturing industry. While the new EV batteries, NMC, today, the research is going towards lesser and lesser cobalt. But not to worry, as in, for cobalt, it's still an important metal because it is an important battery material to ensure the cathode electrode stability. And not to forget, the LCO, the most prevalent metal, is cobalt. So there's one longer-term challenge here, which is complex and diverse proportion of battery elements, the future batteries, which is coming into the recycling market probably in the next 15 or up to 20 years after the repurposing applications. Regulation is another driver for this battery recycling initiative. Canada, EU, Canada, as well as China, they are the main markets for battery recycling. They have already implemented the extended producer responsibility regulation, where EV makers, the producers of batteries, or even companies who sell, market, or import batteries into their local market, they will be made responsible to collect and treat the end-of-life lithium-ion batteries. So what about Singapore? So in Singapore, we will have the extended producer responsibility regulation to kick in from 2021, as mentioned earlier. This is a mandatory electrical and electronic waste management system, where the manufacturers and importers, together with the PROs, the producer responsibility organizations, they will be responsible to collect and treat the e-waste. So for example, people like Harvey Norman, Courts, and Gain City, they're already on board by providing a waste collection facility at their premise. So here are some of our key observations on the lithium-ion battery recycling industry developments. So we observed that the EV makers, such as Volkswagen, Audi, Tesla, Toyota, they are joining forces with recyclers to recover valuable metals. While for recyclers, such as the American Manganese Inc., Neometals, they continue to publish as they develop breakthrough recovery rates and scaling up the capacity for the recycling plant. It's up to 94% for American Manganese Inc. So the third group of people here will be research institutions, where they continue to develop the more environmentally benign methods to recycle lithium-ion batteries. So these are Worcester Polytechnic Institute, as well as the Argonne National Lab resale centers. So here are a summary of our market drivers and market needs that we discussed earlier. So the first one would be surging volume of spent lithium-ion batteries and the sources. So the first one is consumer electronics, as well as from EV and energy storage. So the market need here would be the battery sorting and extraction technology I've shared earlier, the on-site screening of spent battery health, as well as the second life battery management systems. And the next driver here would be the increased pressure from the new regulations. So a traceability system might just help to ramp up the collection rate. And the last but not least, the valuable metals recovery, so cobalt, lithium, and nickel metals. So the market needs a low-cost but high-yield processed. And it must be adaptable for future battery chemistries, as what we have seen in the NMC batteries development today. So moving on, I'll talk about the key players in the lithium-ion battery value chain. So as part of our study, we have mapped out an extensive mapping of the lithium-ion battery value chain, covering the raw material of miners and refiners, the process material, those who manufacture the cathode, anode active materials, up to the integrated systems, the cells and pack players, some in Singapore here, and up to the end users, primarily the automotive OEMs. And we also studied the second life battery recyclers as well as the research institutions. I would just like to share with you 3 key takeaways from this study. So we observed that the battery material miners, they are also involved in the battery recycling industry. As we noted, they filed patents in the battery recycling technologies. So these people are Glencore and the Nippon Mining and Metals. The recyclers, such as the Umicore, they are focusing on the manufacturing of cathode active material, and they are adopting a closed-loop business model. So why did I say this? So because Umicore themselves, they are one of the largest recyclers in Europe, as they recovered battery-grade material, and then they feed back in the loop by focusing on manufacturing of the cathode materials themselves. So this is why we call them the closed-loop business model. While for the EV OEMs, such as people like Chery Automobile, Nissan, and Renault, they invest in repurposing of the spent lithium-ion batteries for energy storage applications. So in our patent study, we noticed that Chery Automobile filed a rather critical patents, which is related to the battery diagnostics, health, and the battery sorting technologies. Moving on, I'll talk about the recycling technologies. So here is a generic process for the lithium-ion battery reuse and recycling. I'll walk you through the process. So for spent lithium-ion batteries, such as the lithium copper oxide, the NMCs and LFPs, they are being collected and sorted, after which they will go through a screening test to determine the state of charge, state of health, voltage and resistance. And for those batteries who fit the test, who pass the test, you will go for repurposing, refurbishing for second life battery use. So for those batteries who fail the test, they will be subjected to the recyclers. So from here, you can take 2 paths. A direct smelting path, which simply burn off the battery directly at high temperature, 600 to 900 degrees, and obtain a slag, quite a complex slag from direct smelting, which is applicable as a construction aggregate. While the next path, you will go through a pretreatment process such as discharging, dismantling, electrolyte extraction, and they are being size reduced by crushing, and then subjected to mechanical separation. So this separation process will be important to separate out impurities such as the iron, plastics, copper, and aluminum foils, so that you will obtain a purer slag after the pyrometallurgy process. So following which, after that, the separated cathode materials can be further size reduced again, and they are subjected to hydrometallurgy process. This is in solution chemistry by means of leaching and precipitation with strong acids to recover the valuable metals, metal complexes. So this includes cobalt, manganese, and nickel. And these ratios of the materials within the leaching solution itself, they can be adjusted by adding necessary chemicals to replenish and regenerate by means of sintering to produce a new cathode electrode material itself. So this is a pyrometallurgy plant. It's in Umicore. And this is the working condition in a typical smelting plant. While the scale for hydrometallurgy will be smaller in terms of the footprint, and this works on the in-solution chemistries. So the key takeaway here is that the pyrometallurgy process will require a large footprint. Where the process occurs at high temperature, it will need a rather sophisticated chamber for the smelting process. While hydro, it will be a smaller scale operation. And this is rather more energy efficient. as per our study. Moving on, I'd like to share with you some of our findings and our insights derived from the innovation landscape study. So here are the patent filing trends over the last 10 years. So we have studied over 1,000 patents, and we find that majority of the patent owners are based in China. So this is in line with our earlier observation. And we noted regulation is the main driver here. Well, for the profile of the patent owners, we'd like to draw your attention to 3 key points here, in which we analyze that 56% consist of commercial entities, where battery material miners, battery makers, and the recyclers, they file patents with regards to lithium-ion battery recycling technologies. So we assess that the lithium-ion battery would be a source of raw material for the miners. Because for the mining industry, the existing mechanical separation techniques, such as the air flotation and the gravity separations, are rather adaptable for recycling. And of course, the EPR, it drives interest from the battery maker itself because it's regulated. Moving on the technologies portion, I'd like to first touch on the pretreatment as well as the mechanical separation process. So pretreatment refers to the discharging, dismantling, as well as crushing. While for mechanical separation, it could involve a sieving, a magnetic separation to remove the metallic impurities, as well as air flotation. So these are the essential steps to reduce impurities to ensure a higher metal recovery rate downstream. And the pretreatment, in particular for discharging, it is the necessary step to reduce risk of fire and explosions in the subsequent processes. Let's take a look about the metal recovery methods. So you find that hydrometallurgy is the most preferred method for its high metal recovery efficiency, and it's also a lower energy requirements. As per our study, we have also uncovered that a combination of pyro and hydro methods is rather preferred because we assess that it will recover a wider range of metal species, which I'll explain a little bit more detail in my subsequent slides. So the key here is to generate battery-grade material from these processes so that they can fetch a higher value in the market. From our patent landscape study, we have also uncovered 2 key emerging technologies. So they are electrochemical as well as bioleaching. But we noted that they are yet to be commercialized because most of the patents were filed by research institutions at this point. So here I highlight a list of people who focus on the hydrometallurgy process. So Shenzhen GEM, they are one of the largest recyclers in China. So they focus on the hydrometallurgy process. And then 2 days ago, we have got a news, the TES based in Singapore, they are also opening up a plant. It's up to 25,000 tons per year processing capacity in February 2020. So what they recovered here is cobalt as well as lithium carbonate salts, which is the precursor material for new battery manufacturing. Moving on, I'll talk about the people who file patents in the pyrometallurgy. So these are the top 5. So pyro, as mentioned earlier, it involves a heat treatment, smelting or calcinations to obtain the slag. So it typically happens at 600 to 900 to obtain the molten slag itself, which can be subjected to be used as a construction aggregate. So the recent innovations that we uncovered that they are using higher and higher temperature, up to 3,000 degrees. So take one example from Umicore. They are using more than 3,000 degrees. This is in order to accelerate the slagging process. So they generated the 3,000 degrees by means of plasma torch. This will save energy because the process will be shortened. But one key thing to note here is the lithium will end up as a mixed byproduct still from the pyro process. While for JX, Nippon Mining and Metals, they are big into pyro in Japan, as they are operating a pyrometallurgy recovery plant. Moving on, hydrometallurgy. So these are the top 5 again. It uses strong leaching acids such as the sulfuric acids as well as the hydrochloric acids in order to dissolve the cathode materials and recover the components itself. The use of strong leaching acids requires an intensive neutralization step downstream, where a lot of water or even the alkalines will be required to neutralize them in the wastewater treatment plant. So the recent innovations that we have noted that the use of weak acids and natural organic acids to replace the strong leaching acids. So NTU is working on one project by using methane sulfonic acid, is one type of weak acid, and they're also studying the use of citric acid, which is derived from orange peels, as an organic acid. They are still working in a laboratory scale. So new batteries is also being regenerated from the cathode electrode itself, from the hydrometallurgy process. So they are done by this company, a US-based company called Onto Technology. So one key guy here, LIB Recycling. They are one of the world's largest recycler, and they are the wholly owned subsidiary of CATL, the contemporary Imperex technology in China, who is also one of the largest lithium-ion battery manufacturers in the world. Onto Technology, as mentioned earlier, I'll talk about more in detail in a subsequent section. So let's take a look on the pros and cons of pyro and hydro. So as I have shared with you, the pyro uses high temperature, is rather a mature technology, and hydro is a well-researched technology, and they're usually deployed in the pyro and hydro combinations. So the temperature here, high temperature, while hydro uses a rather lower temperature for the dissolution process. And one key advantages for pyro is that they can process a mixture of batteries, but it's rather energy intensive. And as mentioned earlier, lithium recovery from the slag is rather inefficient because it will involve use of a lot of high amount of leaching acids. While for hydro, it can achieve a higher recovery rate of pure metals. It involves lower energy as well as lower emissions. But this is aimed at specific battery chemistries, so it must be sorted upfront to achieve a good quality products downstream. It involved high-cost leaching agents, as you recall, the involvement of strong leaching acids. Those are expensive commodities. Is therefore, people are looking at pyro and hydrometallurgy, a combination method. So these are the top 5. This is why, because they are able to recover a wider range of metals. But do note that a combination of these processes, as you have seen in the picture earlier, it involves very complex process and probably a higher capex compared to the methods alone. So some of the recent innovations that we have uncovered that they are using this combination process to recover as well as regenerate both the cathode as well as the anode graphites. This happens for the NMC, LFP, and the LCO batteries. One example, Toyota. In the earlier slide, you might have noticed, these are one of the EV OEM. They are partnering Umicore for this process. Tianqi Lithium, they are one of the largest lithium miner in the world, based in China, and they are also looking into pyro and hydro combinations. Taking a recap here, Hunan Brand and Umicore. So Brand, as I mentioned earlier, they are a subsidiary of CATL, the world's largest lithium-ion battery manufacturers for automotive application. They have a plant, a 10,000 tons per year on pyro and hydro, as well as Umicore, who works with Toyota, Audi, and a couple other EV OEMs. Moving on, I would like to talk about the emerging technologies, which is electrochemical. So these are the top patent owners. The key thing here is that the electrochemical process, they can recover more than 99% purity levels of the lithium-ion battery metal complexes, the precursors materials. So this is important because it fetches higher value in the market, the purer it is, because it's ready to fit into the loop. This process often complements the hydrometallurgy step during the leaching process. So one of the recent innovations that we have noted here is the molten salt electrolysis. So the key advantage here is that it doesn't require to complement the hydrometallurgy step, rather that it doesn't involve a hydrometallurgy step. The cathode material itself was retrieved and melted and electrolyzed. So it's a rather simpler process. But do note that to melt the cathode material, it requires a rather higher temperature, which is around 400 degrees, the melting point of the cathode material itself. Although we say that electrochemistries, these are emerging area, we noted that players, commercial players such as the BASF, they are also one of the cathode material manufacturer, and the Nemaska Lithium, the miner of the lithium metals. They're also looking into these emerging technologies already. The next one will be bioleaching. So bioleaching involves the use of acidophilic bacteria. So these are the bacteria who thrive under highly acidic conditions to selectively extract the lithium, cobalt, as well as nickel. So the process takes 4 to 10 days. It's a rather lengthy process to achieve considerable amounts of the recovery rates. The bacterial method also requires thermal sterilization upstream because bacteria are rather sensitive to contaminants. So not forgetting that the lithium-ion batteries is one of the hazardous waste who may contain a lot of contaminants which inhibits the bacterial growth. So here I summarize our key findings from our study. The first one, China leads in the lithium-ion battery recycling movement, where the largest number of patent holders are based in China, followed by Japan, South Korea, and US. EV growth and regulations are the main drivers, as we noted earlier. The key players in the lithium-ion battery value chain would be mining companies, battery makers, EV OEMs, as well as the recyclers. They are all the active players who file patents in this area. So we also assess that the spent battery can serve as a source of raw battery material. This is especially important for mining companies. So for market needs in the reuse and the recycling industry, we have discussed about the need for rapid diagnostic, discharging, and the dismantling technologies, as well as the battery refurbishment technologies. This is for second life battery to extract the residual value. The fourth point, high efficiency metal recovery is critical. So we have discussed about upstream sorting and the mechanical separation. These are the critical pre-processing steps in order to reduce the impurities upfront. And hydrometallurgy is a preferred method among all the patent filing because it involves high metal recovery and it achieves rather energy efficient as compared to the pyro process. And we noted that the combination approach, as well as some of the emerging technologies, comes into play. So the combination of pyro and hydro is needed for the wider range of metal recovery. And these two, electrochemical and bioleaching, are the emerging technologies. As they are filed still by the research institutions, we assess that it will take time to scale up for these two technologies. For the final section, I will talk about the technologies available for collaboration. So the first one will be from Rice University. They are based in the US. So what they did is an environmentally benign, they are using an environmentally benign, a biodegradable solvent. It's called the deep Eutectic solvents. So they are using a mixture of choline chloride and the ethylene glycol. Both are commodity chemicals to achieve a metal extraction. And they have achieved a pretty good recovery rate of more than 90% of the leaching efficiency. And they have tested this for LCO in the lab. Next, the Redox-Targeting method, which will be shared by the next presenter, Dr. Yu. I won't go into detail. I wouldn't go into detail in this. NTU, CEA, the scarce lab, they are working on the weak acids to recover up to 75% of lithium, cobalt, nickel, and manganese. So the type of weak acid they use, as mentioned earlier, the methane sulfonic acid, as well as the citric acids, as they are studying to recover, to replace the use of strong leaching acids. And the technology is now validated in the lab. Next, I'll talk about LIB Cycle. So LIB Cycle is a Canadian startup. They focus on the mechanical treatment as well as the hydrometallurgy, and they achieve more than 80% recovery of these raw materials. So one key thing about their process, what is so unique, is that they have developed an automated dismantling and shredding of the mixed lithium-ion batteries. So in particular, they focus more on the automotive type. So they have built a 1 ton per day demo plant at Kingston, and they planned up to 5,000 tons per year capacity processing the spent lithium-ion batteries. I have battery resources here. They are based in US as well, and they are a spin-off of a Worcester Polytechnic Institute, where they license the technology. So they work on physical separation and hydrometallurgical processing methods. The uniqueness of this technology provider is that they're able to control the ratio of nickel, manganese, and cobalt, the precursors for NMC batteries, which allows a consistent NMC end product. So they are already fabricating the NMC 111 and the 532, and they're already selling it. So they have a 500 kilogram per day pilot plant. So the next one, Onto Technology. They are a US-based company. They focus on physical separation and hydrometallurgy as well. So what they did is they recover the entire cathode material without crushing them, and they soak into lithium-rich solution to replenish the depleted chemicals, such as lithium. The recycled batteries, the recycled NMC batteries, they have tested this for more than 2,000 cycles already, as good as new. And the scale-up, they are able to support the scale-up and integration of battery recycling technologies, in case you are interested. And also material testing and battery prototyping as well. This will be my last slide. Second Life Battery Management System. They are provided by this company called Relectrify. It's an Australian startup. So what they did was they invented the algorithm for cell level condition monitoring. So they are able to monitor up to the cell level conditions, and it maximizes the lifetime of the battery pack for energy storage used. And now that they are able to offer turnkey solution up to 2 megawatt-hour scale. So what's next? So for further information, please download the white paper for a more in-depth review of what I have shared earlier. And the full report is available, and if you are interested, kindly approach any of our colleagues. And we can also work with you on any other topics. In particular, the sustainability-related topics upcoming.